And for those of you who join me on Instagram, let's see who's on. Hi, Calypso. Hey, Haley, what's going on? Just setting up the Facebook. Okay. Oh my goodness, let's see. Okay, just setting up. Make sure we have the camera set up correctly. Okay. All right. Yin Yang Yoga all levels. Let's see. Maybe go live. Okay. So we're doing the live game. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Cool, cool. How y'all doing? Hey, Haley. Make sure I wave at you properly. Wave, wave. All right. So we're going to get started. We're doing a yin yang yoga tonight. You'll need 1 or 2 blocks. I don't think we need a strap. I actually wrote this practice up yesterday, but you know, if you feel like you want to have one nearby, that's not a bad idea. But definitely make sure you have 1 or 2 blocks. That's usually the name of the game. And if you want to have a, and you can practice with a yoga mat or not. As I was describing to a client earlier today, and I actually mentioned yesterday, I began practicing yoga when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I realized that as I speak, that was 27 years ago. I actually did the yoga mat. And yeah, that's true. And for probably 7 of those years, those first 7 years, I didn't even have a mat. So some of these things can definitely be done without a mat and with all the accoutrements. You pick what's right for you. I do like my blocks though, and I want to say that if I have to go out in the world, and if I was on like a yoga desert island, no yoga, I would just have to insist that I take a block, and a very wide one. So make sure you have the props that you need. Oh, hi, cats. What are you doing? Oh. Sorry, the cats are being super spastic, and you, my dear, are done with a capital D-O-N-E. Tater Tot was very naughty yesterday, and she continues to be naughty today. You're going to have to go upstairs if you continue to be super naughty. All right. Let's come into reclined butterfly to start. So if you want to grab a pillow or something to prop up the back of your head, by all means, please do. And we'll be doing the first several moves without any standing kinds of positions. So you're welcome to also practice with any kind of slippers or socks or anything. Oh my God, these cats are so bad. They just knocked over an entire piece of artwork. We're gonna have cat-free classes soon. All right, come into reclined butterfly. Make sure you support the back of your head. And if bringing the feet above the pelvis isn't a comfortable position for you, don't do that. Just keep your feet on the floor and maybe prop up the backs of your thighs with those blocks that I mentioned earlier. Your blocks have 3 heights. You've got a flat side, you have a more medium width, and then you have the very tall. So find what's right for you. And activate the feet, spreading the toes. And you can keep the feet low, or you can bring the feet above the belly or the pelvis. And to bring the feet above the pelvis, you might need to hold on to the outside edges of the feet Maybe bring the hands to the ankles or even just kind of hold them together like so. Whatever you do, allow your back to settle into the floor. And feel for, as we work in what's called Shivananda breath, feel for a widening of the back against the floor. And allowing the upper back to settle into the floor as much as possible. You may need to actively, consciously bring your inner gaze to that upper back, right between the shoulder blades, back of the heart area. And consciously almost will that part of your body to relax. Shivananda breath is breath of equal parts. It's also referred to as a breath pattern of feeling very full on the breath without going to the uncomfortably full place. Holding the breath for as long as feels comfortable. When you need to let that breath go, exhale. Not to a place of so empty that you're kind of grasping or grabbing at the breath. Just hold it out for as long as you can. And when that means, again, that's a place of comfort. It's a place that you, and where you determine your comfort level. So we'll do that for 2 more rounds. Breathe in to a comfortable amount. Continuing to focus on that softening of the upper back. Holding for as long as feels comfortable. Exhaling when you need to. Continue to allow the upper back to soften. And breathing in when you need to. This will be the final round that we do. Let you go at your own pace. And when it is complete for you, once more bring the awareness to the space between the shoulder blades, upper back space. And then breathe in and out with no holds on the breath. One more breath. And then as you exhale, if your heels are above the pelvis or the stomach, let the feet rest lightly on the floor. If you're already here with your knees resting on blocks, then allow that to continue to be the pose, or maybe just pick your knees up, bring both feet to the floor, knees pointing to ceiling. Let the arms rest at your sides and take a deep breath in. And out. And then gently roll over to the side as you inhale. Plant your hands into the floor and then push up to a sitting position. You can stay hanging out in your Baddha Konasana position, soles of the feet together. Activate the feet, spread the toes. And continue to focus the breath in the upper part of the back, even though now the floor isn't there to give you feedback. Feel for expanding the breath through the body, using your own sensations as your guide. During today's practice, creating a responsibility for your practice. How often can you check in on yourself and commit to feeling how you're feeling during this practice? Let's come into Uddiyana. You can bring the hands into either a palm down version with the hands in front of the shins, or work in stage 2 wrist stretch position with the fingertips on the floor, thumbs reaching out, palms lifted, shoulder heads back, upper back broad, upper chest broad. Activate the feet, spread the toes, and take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Tuck the chin, press the feet together, and exhale out. Keep the breath out, pull low belly back to center. Let the belly go, and take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Feel how that breath opens up the entire back. How does that feel? Exhale out. Tuck the chin. Keep the breath out. Before you pull the belly back, soften the muscles and then pull those muscles slightly back and down. Upper back gets even wider. Let the belly go. Take another deep breath in. Take in a little more breath. How does that feel? Exhale out. Keep the breath out, pull low belly back. Let the belly go and sit back up. Release the palms from the floor and just let the arms rest lightly on the thighs. Return back to Shivananda breath. Using this round to feel what's changed, to feel how you feel. Using the practice to access the body and to receive information from your body, to your mind, to your heart, to your soul. Remember, Shivananda breath is breath of equal parts. So fill up to that comfortably full position, which may be at a different point at this time of the practice. Holding at that full point for as long as you feel comfortable, which again may be at a different point. More or less. Exhaling when you need to. Holding the breath out for as long as feels comfortable. Breathing in when you need to. Holding when you're ready. Exhaling when you're ready. Do you know when those points really are? Let's continue to work with that. Come into spinal twist. Bring the knees back together using your hands. And I'm shifting around so you see what's going on in this classic twist. Extend the right leg long. Bring the sole of the left foot to the floor. Spread the toes. If you have further to go tonight, you can bring the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. Maybe even bend the bottom knee. Feel what's the right move for you tonight. I'm just going to practice here. Both feet active, no matter where you choose. And lean back on the left arm a bit, so you are creating a different angle than we normally do in this pose. At the torso, aim forward and inhale, reach up through the right arm. And then exhale, just bring the right hand to the front of the left knee and lean back, letting the head relax, right side of the neck become exposed. Bend the left elbow slightly to push the palm into the floor. Keep the toes spread, feet active, even though we're doing some relatively passive moves today. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale, lightly pull back on the belly, soften the shoulders. Inhale. Sit up. Coming into half or full, half lotus. No, half or full knee pile. Bring the left knee on top of the right, keeping the bottom leg long, or again, you can bend the bottom knee. I'm going to work here today. Coming into eagle arms. Reach the arms out to the sides, take a deep breath in. If that's too much on your shoulders, stay low on the hips. And then exhale, bring both forearms together if you're working with a shoulder injury. Forearms and palms pressed. If you have further to go, bring the right elbow on top of the left, back of palms together. Or double wrap. And let your forehead rest into the crook of the arm. Lift the elbows slightly. And spread the toes on both feet. And one of the things I love about this pose is you kind of can't ignore the opening in the upper back. Feel for that. I've said this often in the past several classes about how the space between the shoulder blades is the place where we are responsible for ourselves. That is the center of that in the body, back of heart. And it's often the part of our bodies that we don't feel very well, or we don't feel very well in. Take a breath there now. And then release into a forward fold. Both feet stay active. Actively push the pelvis into the floor, back of the right leg, edge of left foot. Whatever points of contact are on the floor now, anchor them into the floor a little more strongly. And take another deep breath in. Exhale fully out. To come out of the pose, unwind the arms first. And inhale to sit up. Unwind the legs. Let's do the other side. Extend the left leg long. Bring the sole of the right foot to the floor. Spread the toes. Stay active in the feet and either work with a deeper twist, right foot to the outside of the left foot, maybe bend the bottom knee. And I'm just going to work a little more gently today. It is easy does it Sunday. Lean way back on the right hand, bend the elbows slightly, and then inhale, reach left arm up. Exhale, bring the left hand just to the front of the right knee and lightly push right knee into palm. Rest head way back. If you've lost the ability to sense into the pose, how you're feeling, and you've just gone into the mechanics of it, take a deeper breath in now and just come back. Using the breath as your way into sensation. It is by swimming in the sensations of the body that we actually take the most responsibility for the practice. It is where the practice lays. To come out of the pose, slide the right hand closer to the body, turn the torso forward, half or full knee pile. Bring right knee on top of left. Bottom leg can be bent. Hands can stay on the hips or inhale, reach arms out. Eagle arms. Bring forearms to press, palms press, or left elbow on top of right. Back of palms are pressing, or double wrap. Forehead rests into the crook of the arms. Sense how the breath lifts the torso, widens the torso, moves the ribs wide and open over the pelvis. How does that feel? And exhale, forward bend over the knee. Keep the feet active. And sense the parts of you that are actively touching the floor. Push down into those parts to connect more fully to the ground. And enjoy the greater benefit that gives you as you breathe in and widen through the body. To come out of the pose, unwind the arms first and then sit up. All right, let's do some frog lifting through. Make sure you have that. Yeah, might even do gate opener. So I'm gonna grab my rolled up mat. If you don't have that today, you can use that block I showed you, or maybe a rolled up blanket or pillow or towel or something to that nature. All right, let's do frog. And we can do a gate opener option with that as well if you want today. You pick. For those of you who know gate opener, you know the moves. If you don't, that's cool. But stay in a frog position no matter what you choose to do with your legs. If you choose to use gate opener, you're placing, you're placing the prop right on the pubic bone, right? And squeezing the thighs together, right? And then opening as the inhale comes. You know gate opener. You know what I'm talking about if that's your deal, all right? But I'm gonna do frog today. If y'all wanna follow me on that, go for it. Those of you who want a little more, you know the gate opener piece. Inhale. Shoulders can stay down, by the way. Palms up, I'll call that. Breathe into the low back and push the low back into the floor. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, pull the low belly down and lengthen through the inner thighs. Spread the toes on the feet. Knees stay bent. Inhale, lower the pelvis into the floor. Breathe through the low back. Press the back into the floor. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, pull the low belly down, push out, lengthen the buttocks, and push out to the heels. If you have further to go tonight, interlace hands at the base of the skull. Inhale, lift your shoulders up. Press the low back into floor, everybody. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, pull the low belly down, lengthen through the tailbone and buttocks. Reach out to the pinky edges of the feet. Stay up in the shoulders if you're lifting, if you can, right? You need to lower them too. And then exhale, lift those shoulders up if they're down. Curl the pubic bone up, push out through the buttocks, widen to the arches of the feet. Inhale, breathe and spread the low back into the floor. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, wrap the shoulder blades forward. There's one move they don't normally call. Pull the low belly down, spread the toes. Take a deep breath into the low back. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, pull the low belly down, stretch out through the back line of the legs. Feel the calves light up, feel the toes spread wide. Take one more deep breath into the low back. Exhale, curl the pubic bone up, pull the low belly down, push out through the heels. Inhale, lower the shoulders if they're lifted. Use your hands to bring the knees together like a book. And if you've got some footwear on, now's the time to say goodbye. Grab a roll, a block, or whatever you're using as a similar prop. We'll do bridge with a roll, bridge with a prop today. Squeeze the prop between the thighs and have your heels quite close to your buttocks, outside edge of hips. Hands come down to the sides, spread the toes, and take a deep breath in. And exhale, squeeze on the prop, curl the tailbone up and push through the heels. You can stay here working these moves as your bridge today. Breathing and opening up the space between low pelvis as you squeeze the prop. If you have further to go, on the next exhale, push down to the heels and lift pelvis off the floor. Feel the calves lengthen into the floor. Everybody take a huge breath in that brings you to that comfortably full place. Exhale, feel for squeezing on the prop and letting the back of the pelvis feel a little bit heavy. Use the leg strength to keep the pelvis lifted. Savor what bridge does for you. Explore how it affects the way you use your breath to shape the pose. To come out of the pose, keep a squeeze on your prop and lower down. Keep squeezing as you lower the back all the way to the floor. I like using the prop and bridge because it really helps to teach the legs to be really strong and your low back can stay very long and open. Sometimes it can get a little kinked up and jammed up and coming out. Use that prop, it helps a lot, right? Maybe you felt that too. If not, go up into it, take a breath or two. Well, I'm kind of chattering away here. Explore that for yourself. And roll over to your side. Push up. Using the hands against the floor. I told you we were going to need our block today. We're going to do a little practice called raise the chalice. What? The block's going to be our chalice. So if you'd like to pat up your knees, like I do, you're welcome to either curl the toes under behind you and sit over the heels, or turn to the tops of the toes. Okay. Take your block and place it on its medium width, not the wide width, right between the forearms. Have the block just at the top edge. It's right at the place where my palm and my wrist meet. All right? That's where you want yours. Are touching the floor. Feel for the parts of you that are touching the block. And really connect to those places at the floor and the block. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, squeeze on the block and lift the elbows slightly. Draw the shoulder blades down and wrap them around the armpits. Take a deep breath, spread the breath of the upper back. Exhale, squeeze onto the block. Draw the shoulder blades down, squeeze a little more, and pull the belly in and down. Inhale, feel the parts of you touching the floor, feel the block. Exhale, squeeze on that block, lift elbows a little higher, pull the belly in and down, shoulder blades. One more like that, deep breath in. Exhale, squeeze on the block, pull the belly in and down. And then release. Lower. Zero. Come into downward facing dog. If downward facing dog isn't in your flavor today, you can just come to a standing mountain at the top of your mat, feet together or hip distance. You can also just come into tabletop position. Hands under shoulders, toes curled under. Take a deep breath in. And if you have further to go, exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips. Feel for the parts of you connected to the floor. One more deep breath in. Exhale, draw the shoulder heads back, shoulder blades around, pull up on the belly. Push down through active feet. One more huge breath in. Exhale, draw the shoulder heads back, wrap the shoulder blades towards the chest. Pull the belly in and push down the feet. Inhale, warrior 2 feet. Step the left foot forward, pivot the right heel down. Push into both feet to come up. Extended warrior variation. Front knee is bent, thigh parallel with floor. Bring left forearm to back. Relax the neck. If you have further to go, you can take the hand to the waist, the shoulder, or come into a wrap, bringing the hand around the back, or maybe sneaking around to find the opposite back. Use the breath to sense into the body. Feel the parts of you that are connected to the floor. Push into them more. Relax the neck more. If you have the arm behind the back, inhale, reach that arm up. And then exhale, bring hands to the floor. Flip the edge of the mat over to lower the right knee on. Point the toes and sink the hips forward. You can take your block on its high side and push both hands into the block. Let the hands, like the hips, sink a little lower. And feel the parts of you that are touching the floor and push into them. The back toes, the front heel, the ball of the foot. If you have further to go, you can loose the block entirely or move it to a different height. Stay relaxed in your neck. One more deep breath in. Feel the breath filling up the body. How does that feel? And then exhale. Shift the hips back. You can open your mat up again. Come to hands and knees. Push firmly into the floor. Feel the connection. And then lower the chest into that floor. We're doing a boat of sorts. What boat is that? Half boat, hands under forehead. Oh yeah, I love this one. All right, place your forehand, both of your palms. I guess I should move these so y'all can see. Place both of your palms, palm on top of one another, under the forehead. And relax the forehead completely. Curl the pubic bone into the floor and lengthen back through the legs, spread the toes. This might be enough boat for you, right? Especially if you have a stenosis in the back. If you have further to go, inhale, lengthen the legs even more in order to lift them. Curl the pubic bone forward even more. And then notice how your shoulders want to do stuff. Don't let that. Transfer the energy and your attention to how much work you do in your legs. Reach them even more. Relax the shoulders. Consciously will them to let go. And then take one more breath. And lower them down. Bring hands under shoulders. Pull up on the belly to pick up the body. And then go into your downward facing dog from here. Or just step forward into that mountain pose, standing at the top of the mat. Pause, everybody. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Feel for that chalice action. Move the inner arms towards one another. Dynamically. It's not an action. And then warrior two, step the right foot forward. For those of you in the standing mountain, you're just stepping the left foot back. Okay. Warrior two, front thigh parallel with the mat. Bring right forearm onto thigh, left hand on hip, shoulder, or bring it behind the body. Inhale. Maybe reaching and finding the right thigh. Where do you sense the hardness or difficulty in this pose? Send your breath there now. Where do you sense yourself holding or gripping in this pose? Send your breath there now. Release the arm from the back if that's where you're working. Reach it straight up, straight down, and then turn the left side of the mat over. Lower the left knee. Point the toes straight back. Bring your block on the high side, inside the front foot. Both hands on the block. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, let the hips sink forward. Yeah, notice even my shoulders, like, I'm not saying that because I'm not doing it. It's not arbitrary. I catch myself doing that stuff too, right? Shoulders are trying to do stuff. They're trying to hold on. Where are you holding in this pose? What part of you is resisting feeling? One more deep breath. And then release. Shift the hips back. Let's do a cobra from here if you want. You can always step forward, right? If you want, come to tabletop position, curl toes under, take a deep breath in. And then exhale, push against the floor to lower down. Hands stay under shoulders. And then actually turn the palms up tonight. Curl the pubic bone into the floor and inhale. This might be your move. Lengthen the back, reach through the back legs. So you're lengthening in both directions. If you have further to go, inhale, lengthen and lift the chest. Keep the toes on the floor, spread them. One more deep breath. Exhale, lower down. Hands under shoulders, pull up on the belly to pick up the body, and then maybe go to table and then downward facing dog. You can always step up to the top of the mat. We'll all pause, taking a deep breath in. Exhale, and we'll wrap the shoulders, push down to the palms of the feet. And then inhale, step the left foot forward. People in standing mountain, you're stepping your right foot back for warrior one position. Back toes under. Heel is lifted. All toes are tracking to the front of the mat. No, that's not true. All right, pivot the back heel down. I just see. This is what happens when I plan my classes 2 days in advance. All right, bring the hands behind you into a chest opener position. Warrior 2 feet. So heel to arch alignment, that's warrior 2. Left leg forward. If this is too much to bring the hands behind the back, take your hands to your hips, which I think is good to start. It helps us sink into the hips. All right, and feel for the connections on the floor through the feet. If you want chest opener, bring your hands behind to a clasp, all fingers intertwined. Take a deep breath in. You can let the chin draw down to the chest. And to support that level of ease in the upper body, where do you need to do, what do you need to do? What do you sense you need to do in the lower body? Inhale, straighten through the front leg, turn the toes to the long edge of the mat. You can stay in your chest opening position or hands on hips for forward bend. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, forward bend over the thighs. Maybe lifting your fist to the ceiling. Let go in the neck. In order to do that, what do you have to do in your legs? Feel for what that is. Lower the hand to the low back if that's where you're practicing. Bring both hands to the floor. And then pivot. Come back to a tabletop position or step to the front of your mat if you're not doing the belly down back bends. Push against the floor if you are for the palms, and then lower the body to the floor. Straighten the toes, legs, reach through the toes, and then inhale, low cobra, palms down. Lengthen and lift chest. Exhale, lengthen and lower. Curl toes under, pick up the belly to pick up the body. Maybe go to downward facing dog. Feet of warrior 2, inhale, step the right foot forward, pivot the left heel down, heel to arch alignment. Chest opener, bring hands to hips. Sink hips. Maybe come to an interlace behind the back. I just noticed I habitually interlace my fingers in a particular way. I could feel that. What do you feel about this pose that you'd like to do maybe slightly differently? How do you get there? Straighten up through the front leg, turn the toes to the long edge of the mat, and take a deep breath in. Forward bend over the legs. Feel how pushing into the parts of you that are connected to the ground, that groundedness gives you freedom. Sense for the changes as you breathe in and out. Lower your fist onto your back, release the arms to the floor. And then simply pivot. So if you're in a standing mountain position, I think, or if you were in the straddle, you should probably be able to get here from here. Just pivot so the left toes are forward and the right leg is back, toes curled under. So here we are with that move. Push through the legs. You can keep the hands very low, maybe using your block. You can bring the hands to the front thigh for a little bit of traction. Relax the shoulders. Feel for lengthening through the back thigh and a lifting of that thigh to the ceiling. Twisting warrior one. Back toes under. Bring right hand onto block or the floor. Left hand can stay on the thigh. Stay on the thigh. Stay on the thigh. My lisp reveals itself. Take one more deep breath. Maybe going deeper into the twist if you like. As you exhale. But if that brought you out of feeling, come back to the place where you could feel a different version of the pose. Coming into a squat, step the right foot forward. I'm going to turn towards you so you can see this. You can use your block, place it underneath your pelvis, bending both knees. Coming into the twist, you can take another block. That's why I said one or two. Place the right hand on the block, keep the left hand on the thigh, and lightly turn towards that thigh. If you have further to go, you can reach the left arm up. If you don't want to use the block, or any blocks, squeeze the right leg against the right elbow. Keep the hips sinking very low. Release, unwind. Straighten the legs. So let's do the other side. Have the right foot forward, left leg back, toes curl under. You can use your block, bring it on its high side inside the right foot. Both hands on the block. Let go in the neck. Press down to the front heel, lift the back thigh towards the ceiling. You come up a little higher, using a traction on the right thigh. It's great prep for the twist, so you can keep that left hand on the block. Deepen the sensation of pushing the feet into the floor. That will help lower the hips. Maybe twist it open towards the right. Relax the neck. Inhale to unwind. Let's come into that squat. So bring the back foot forward. You can maintain use of the block in coming to sit on that block, this time left hand's on the floor, or another block for some other prop. If you have further to go, you're sinking deeper into the squat, zip block, or lower height, you can still use a block, right? As the left hand pushes into the floor, the leg pushes against the arm pushes back. Right hand is on thigh. Maybe twisting and reaching the arm up. Relax the neck. One more breath. And then release, unwind. I'm going to go into downward facing dog from here. Step back, or you can stand in your standing mountain pose. Pause in your downward facing dog. Feel for what has changed. Sense into the shape. Sense for where it's the same. Sense for what changes as you hold the pose. Step the left foot forward and bring your block with you. Come up onto the ball of the back foot, a little bit like that warrior one position, but it's slightly different because you're up a little higher in the hip. You may stay here, feeling for that lengthening up and back of the right thigh. If you have further to go, come up onto the tippy toes of right foot, shifting more weight into the front foot. You'll be moving the block forward, maybe even lifting that back leg off the floor. Working the block to a different height or no height. Feel for reaching through that leg as much as you're standing on the front leg. And then release. Bring the right foot forward, step the left foot back. Curl the toes under, heels up. Feel for the change. You relax in the neck. Begin to shift the weight if you're going further, coming onto the tippy toes, maybe even lifting that back leg. Again, feel for reaching so much through that back leg, as though you would have to stand on it. And then release. Bring that leg to the floor. Step the leg back and pad the back knee. We'll start moving into some longer holds on the poses, okay? Into the more yin portion of the practice. So if you want to pad up the knee with more than just an edge of a mat flipped, I recommend it. Make sure you have your block. Once more, sink into the front hips, maybe taking your left forearm. I'm actually going to shift back for the Instagrammers. There you go. That's a little better. Sink back a little bit. And sinking forward on the hips. Oh, I notice I need to do a couple of things here in order to create optimal comfort. Yes, that's better. High flying dragon. Now in these poses, in the previous poses, I've called some very specific cues as we've moved through them. Now that we're in the yin section, I'm going to do less of that because in yin, the poses are actually called shapes. And there's a little less structure. Notably, we will be holding the poses shapes, I should say, for an amount of time rather than a breath count. It's also a relaxation instead of a strengthening and activation through the muscles. We also don't use a ujjayi breath. It's more of just an easy breath, more along the lines of the Shivananda breath that we were using before. And we also come into these shapes in the most comfortable way possible. So you notice right away I adjusted my mat because I don't like my feet on the floor. I want a mat under them. That's what's comfortable to me. I brought extra padding to my knee. I want all of this in place so that I can ease into the pose and hold them for the amount of time. Because the more comfortable you are, the longer you can do stuff, right? So turn your block to a different height or maybe lose the block altogether and come into low flying dragon. Again, I'm going to open up my mat. And although, yes, I can do this pose with my forearms on the ground, that is the biggest expression of the pose. And that actually brings me to a tremendous amount of sensation. And you may ask, I thought you asked us to be in sensation. There's a few times in this class when I said maybe that's too much, maybe you want to do more. And in yin, we actually want to do less. So if you come into a shape and it's the greatest amount of sensation right as you enter the shape, it's probably going to be more than you can handle for a longer time. So I invite you to come in at a moderate level of sensation. On a scale of 1 to 10, that would be about a 2. Any pose in yin should never be more than a 5. So you can relax. And you can stay with what you're feeling rather than run away from it. All right, let's gently come out of these poses. We are very gentle, by the way. Come out, shift the hips back, and let's come into sleeping swan. So again, any supports that you need to place under the joints, please do. Sleeping swan is also a little different. It's basically pigeon, yes, but it's like a lazy pigeon. So bend your knee, bend your front knee a lot, maybe slide over and relax on that left hip. You come into the pose in a pretty sloppy pigeon way. Like I'm realizing I'm really engaging my back leg all of a sudden. It's hard to shift from that yawn to the yin, right? Let go of that back leg. You place your palms on top of one another in order to rest the head as we did earlier. Bring a block under your forehead if the floor is still too far. And just settle on a slow, deep, easy breath. Using the breath to focus on. To bring you back when your mind wanders. Using your breath in those areas of greatest sensation. In order to learn and gain intelligence and wisdom about what you need to do to bring yourself into a level of sensation that is tolerable. Sustainable. Doable. To come out of the pose, bring the hands under the shoulders. Let's do the other side. You can pad up the left knee. Bring the front foot forward. And as I noticed, the video has ended for the Instagrammers. It takes a little while, number one, for the Instagram to catch up and catch the viewers. So that's part of what happens with the Instagram, although it's a wonderful format. Actually, let's get into the pose and I'll go into that a little bit as we get in. So coming into high flying dragon, your hands are on your block or maybe one forearm is on your thigh. Just settle into the pose in a way that will allow you to be here for a little while. So as I was saying, if you follow the classes live on Instagram, the class ends at about an hour, but it takes a while for the viewers to know that the live is happening. So much of the class gets chopped off. So the hour that we are allotted on there often isn't full. So following on Facebook is probably a little better. You get the full video, and always make sure that you come and or look at the video. It's always recorded on YouTube. I got to put one up from yesterday. But yeah, follow on YouTube. It's always the pretty much best bet. Well, Facebook's also becoming really reliable. Sink into the hips. Let yourself sink into the shape. Let's come into low flying dragon. Shift back a bit. You can lower the block to a different height or use no block at all. And let yourself settle into it. I'm going to try to get this going again for those of you. Go ahead and let yourself sink low into the shape. Let the muscles around the bones relax. Oh, good. I think I figured that out. There we go. So for those of you on Instagram, if you missed the first part of this is the second part, and we're now in low flying dragon. Shake. Coming into these poses with the least amount of sensation first is good, and then going deeper if you want to is perfectly fine. Figure out the right amount for you. It's like kind of like Goldilocks, right? She knew when the bed was right, when the porridge was right, the chair. Those are all sensations. Like right now I knew, I'm like, you know what? I think I want to turn that Instagram on. Like normally I don't, but I am. Wait, I did today. It's not like I can do it. All right, let's come in a sleeping swan. Shift the hips back very carefully. And then heel toe your feet across the mat and sit all the way over on the right hip. You bend the front knee quite a bit and then come down to a block. You know, the block can be really high. You could use 2 blocks and stay up really high. Maybe even bend the back knee a lot. That's another option. Put the chin tuck. Shoulders relax. How much of you can you relax? Or maybe come down, rest your head on your arms. How much of you can you relax so that you can let the habitual patterning in the body unwind? That is one of the gifts of a yin practice. Where can you feel ease? Where do you sense that in the body? Where do you sense that your body is holding still? And inhale, push down into the floor to support. Coming back up. Come into a kneeling position, into rock pose. Turn to the tops of the toes for greatest ease. And we'll come into a twist from here. So turn lightly to the left. And that's all the twists that we're going to do. If letting the hand relax that much is too much on the shoulder, you can use a block under your left hand. And for those of you who are coming into this Instagram feed after the first part was recorded, we're in the yin portion of a yin-yang class, which is actually a yang-yin class, now that I think of it. And you're coming into it at a portion where we're winding down. It's a different sensation, different feel overall. And I gave the instructions for much of how we work with the yin practice in the first part of this video, which you are welcome to find here on Instagram, or visit my Facebook page, Lisa Maxwell Loring, Loring, or the YouTube page is also the best bet to find the recording in its full entirety. In the yin poses, remember, we hold for an amount of time. And use the breath to come back to using the breath to unfold the pose, to allow the pose to take its own shape. Use the breath to detect where you're holding. Just keep using it as an internal scout. And then inhale, come back to center, and then let's go to the other side. So coming to the other side, then if you feel like you need to, just let the right hand rest on a block. Just let it hang for the twist. The chin tuck. Coming into each of these poses is the most moderate, in the most moderate way possible. And supporting the body in the way you need to. Notice I have a pretty well folded blanket underneath my knees, my shins. By coming into the pose in the most moderate or even like the least amount of sensation right on the front end, guarantees that you'll be able to stay with the pose physically for the amount of time that we hold poses in yin rather than the breath count that we use in yang practices. Now note I said physically because we also have the mental and the emotional body to deal with. So the mental body may be, skipping around and making plans while you're in the pose. So allow your breath to be the way that you come back and settle down the mental body and remind the mental body to focus on sensation. Just acknowledge the mental body by saying planning, thinking. You come back to what you're doing here in your practice. You can always pick that other stuff up later. And then inhale, turn the torso slowly back to center. Final pose. Let's come into child's pose with a twist. Wide knee version. So again, continue to support the joints of the body, particularly the knees. Coming into a wide knee child's pose, you can even bring the knees all the way to the outer width of your mat. So the arms come as far forward as feels comfortable. The forehead can be resting on a block, right? If it's too far forward to reach the floor. The block has 3 heights, right? There's the lowest, the medium, and then that high. If you can bring your head all the way to the floor, by all means, go for it. And if your shoulders can tolerate it, slide the right arm underneath the left and turn towards the left. Again, go with the least amount of sensation to begin with, and you can always adjust that by coming a little deeper as we hold the shape. We hold poses for an amount of time in order to work with the connective tissue in the body, to nourish, to refresh the joints, and to actually make synovial fluid, which after the early 20s, we don't make on our own anymore. Yin is one of those practices, when done properly, can actually strengthen the joints and work the joints because you're not bouncing around or going quickly. You're actually giving the joints time to have an experience.
like I said, is you come into these poses in the most moderate way possible. You give your body time to have these experiences, to make the adjustments. But that does take mental stamina. That's part of the gifts of the yin practice. It helps you develop that. By noticing when the mind has taken you away, by bringing the mind consciously back to what you're doing. By acknowledging what the mind has, is doing. By making the agreement with the mind that you'll come back to that later, but this is what we're doing now. Gently unwind.
Let the right arm come forward. And then draw the left arm underneath and around. If being in this deep knee bend is also difficult, you can place a bolster or a block underneath the pelvis for support, or even underneath the buttocks, between the buttocks and the calves. And again, use a block or other support in order to support the forehead if the floor is too far away. The body also encounters, in this practice, we also work with the emotional body, which may be aggravated, like, oh, I didn't want to work this hard, and now I don't want to work this slow. It's like there's always something going on, right? Notice the different attitudes that you have, different emotions. And notice how quickly they change. And it also gives us the opportunity to notice when we get involved in story or in feelings or really invested in stuff that maybe don't mean that much anyway. Or maybe we actually do care about quite a bit. And it's important to note both. Important to note both and to note what the mind does. Be in that observational place. And during a yin practice, we start to develop and cultivate the relaxed attention that is the practice of meditator. 4 more. Come out of the pose, gently unwind and bring both hands forward. Forehead rests on whatever the floor or prop. And I thank you for joining me in this class, or taking this class at whatever point you are taking it. And the classes I've been doing during this time of change for us in humanity are my gift. It is something that has kept me sane and anchored, as this practice has done for 27 years. I started doing this practice at a time of great turmoil, and I am practicing still in a time of even greater turmoil, personally as well as professionally and non-personally, and just as a person walking on this world with you. I have gained much through this practice, and I will gain even more by sharing it. So I am grateful to be able to do that and to have all of these avenues in order to share them. Please continue to share the videos, interact with me in whatever way that you can in order to get what I'm doing out there to help other people. And maybe help them start a practice that may be an anchor for their lives in a way to make sense of things. All classes are free. I do accept donations, and that's So thank all of you who have made donations. Minimum suggested donation is $5. $1 is good. Any amount is fantastic, and I appreciate it. I hope you have gained something and appreciation for yourself through this practice. An appreciation of your own way to sense. So to come out of child's pose, move your hands back to your shoulders, push down into the palms in order to sit up on your knees, and then gently unwind, shifting your hips to one side. Wake up the knees lightly, just with a little bit of movement to juice them up. And then from here, come into your Shavasana. Make sure that you bring on your warm clothes again if you haven't already, because sometimes actually when we work, we get a little cold. So do that in whatever way you need to. And then take your Shavasana for 5 or 10 minutes, however long. Set a timer. That way you feel like you've got some boundaries around that. And again, I thank you for joining me. Please don't hesitate to reach out, share, like, subscribe, particularly on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Make sure you set your subscriptions so you know when I go live and when I'm sharing the videos. And then you'll also have the videos to do on YouTube. So follow me there as well. Thank you. Have a great week.